Just absolutely gorgeous. I hope you're having the same weather there as well. Without further ado, so we can go out and enjoy the weather. Before I go on, though, I would like to point out something that I had noticed and to bring to you. Now, how I set the final dates is usually part of some kind of a schedule. I originally set those for the 7th of May. Actually, technically, by the calendar, it's supposed to be the 6th of May. Technically, I don't care. So what I've decided to do to give you some flexibility is to basically schedule it from May 6th to May 7th. So it'll give you a 2-day window, depending on when your other finals are, for you to be able to take this finals test. It's the same kind of like the ones that you've had before, just excuse me, 2 more hours. And that's the only difference. As soon as the test closes, give me about 48 hours. I'll post the final grade and you'll be able to calculate your final one. Okay. All right. So without further ado, we have 3 cases to be delivered tonight. How I'm going to be doing this is you'll be doing your presentation and I will be writing on my piece of paper my own notes. What'll happen is that once I finish writing the notes, I will scan those notes and email them to you. So you get to see the raw things that I was writing when I'm coming up with your grades, okay? Okay, so let's go on. Our first is Google searches. If that group A would like to go ahead, go right ahead and take over control.
Excuse me, sir. We had sent you our presentation because we had recorded it because one of our members, Fevin, was having her wisdom teeth removed tonight, and
Please
would
for me. I'd appreciate it if you would share for me right now, so I
yes,
have
sir.
it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I mean, it just makes it easier for me if you do it, Lou. Yeah, go ahead and you do it, okay?
Play the recording.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Play the
Okay. Hold on one second. I had pulled up the wrong screen.
no bad. And that's how I would like the remaining groups, if you did recordings, that's how I'd like you to do it too.
Okay, can everybody see it?
Yeah. Yes.
Let it roll.
We can't hear the audio, Luke.
Yeah, I can't hear it, Lou.
I'm sorry. Didn't realize it had cut out. Let me restart.
No bad. Choose a different audio input.
Can you hear it now?
No.
No, I still can't hear it.
Okay. Hold on one second. I apologize. Didn't
Let me,
realize this was messed up.
it's all right. Good thing we're testing.
Yes, sir.
Look, if you put it on the drive, I can share it because I think you were also having those issues when we were recording, remember?
Yes, ma'am. It should be in the shared folder. I'll send it to you just to make sure. send it to your email, Erica, just in case you can't find it in the drive.
Were you able to hear that?
No, ma'am.
What are we doing differently here?
I'm not sure if there's a setting, but you want to make sure that on Zoom there's if there is a setting to confirm that you can share audio through your computer. I don't know if that's a thing, but just in case.
Thank you.
Yeah, there are selected microphones and selected speakers through the audio.
What would that be in the details?
Yes. Well, yeah, where you've got the audio.
All right, so Luke, help me find it.
Okay, I think if you go to where you hit share screen, according to the article Robin sent us, I think it should be there. On the Zoom meeting controls panel.
Let's see, I'm just straight in the Google searches, not in the Zoom.
Okay, do you mind to stop sharing? That way I can do mine. I think it'll work then, hopefully.
Okay.
I am truly
Stop.
sorry to everybody for the technical difficulties. We had this prepared and everything, just some issues.
How long will it take you to do it, Luke?
I was going to say, Dr. Shows, if you want the Apple group, my group, to go ahead and present while they try to figure that out, we are more than happy with doing that.
Why don't we go ahead and do that? So go ahead, Apple, and go ahead and Luke, we'll drop back, get that figured out, and then we'll come back to you, okay?
Yes, sir. I truly apologize.
No big
Delays.
deal. No big deal. Yeah, Apple, go ahead.
Okay, one moment.
In the words of the theater, everybody's got an opening night.
I just gotta find the present button and then we're good to go.
It's slideshow up at the top right.
Oh, duh. Thank you, Maren.
Yeah, you're good.
Beautiful. Alrighty, let's go back to the beginning. Alrighty, we are Summit Marketing Company and we are presenting for the company of Apple Incorporated.
Hold on one second. It says loading.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Just let me know when you can see it.
Can you see it on your screen, Allison?
I can, yes. Oh, it says my screen sharing is paused.
Oh, okay.
That's lovely.
There we go.
Our computers have a 420 celebration we didn't know about.
Ah,
They must have.
Come on.
Okay. Is it all right, Dr. Shows, if I share it this way?
Whatever way you be, it's fine.
Okay. When I click slideshow, it pauses my screen sharing. So I would just
Whatever.
zoom in.
I've done that many times. Okay.
Okay,
So
beautiful.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Okay, let's try again. We are Summit Marketing Company, and we are presenting for Apple Incorporated based off the case of Apple Bites Back. This is our team. It consists of myself, Allison Keller, Meredith Hunt, Lathan Kaiser, Marin Parsley, and Emma Shell. Alrighty, go ahead, Emma.
So just to give a brief overview of our entire campaign so that you can be prepared for what we're about to go through. We found that Apple has a lot of problems that it faces every day, just like every company. So we wanted to focus our resources, time and energy to 3 of the main challenges that we see, that being Apple's competition globally, its working conditions and perceived ethics in the supply chain, as well as its sustainability and how that affects its brand reputation. We want to address the negativity surrounding those last 2, especially because that is what it's currently struggling with and what future generations are going to really struggle with when purchasing products. We're going to recommend that Apple focuses on its brand reputation, especially surrounding workplace safety as well as sustainability. We also had the idea to expand to the healthcare market because it's relatively untapped at this point for technology, especially like the mobile technologies. And then we also are going to just be more competitive on the global market scale. As of right now, we are not as competitive globally as we could be. And we have a great market share nationally, and we want to expand that globally.
You're on mute, Allison.
A brief overview of the history of Apple Incorporated is it originally began as Apple Computer. They launched their very first product, which was named Apple I, and it did phenomenal. They had over $1 million in sales. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, if I'm saying that correctly, they did a phenomenal job with that very first product launch. Although it was just a computer kit, it did not have a keyboard and it did not have a display, and it was its purchase price was $666.66, and which now that is the equivalent of about $3,000 to $3,500. So it wasn't a cheap product, especially to not be a full and complete product, but it did phenomenal in the 1980s. So less than a decade later, they started to decline. Steve Jobs was forced to leave the company, and many of their products did not flourish as the first product did. There were multiple exchanges of the CEO role. Not many people did well in it, which is why it switched so often. About another decade and a half later, they were on the verge of needing to file bankruptcy. A couple years later, Steve Jobs came back. He brought the company back to life. He pushed it towards where it was when he first started. And since then, they have been leading the tech device industry they have such a large brand loyalty. They are pretty much the big dog of devices, cell phones, all the things. And so they have really flourished since Steve Jobs rejoined the company.
So bringing it back to present day, it is our understanding that Apple, you're facing a lot of issues right now, including competition, customer privacy, price fixing, intellectual property, supply chain management, and sustainability. But we only want to focus on a couple because competition, we really feel that brand loyalty will continue to keep you afloat. So it's not that big of a deal for us. Customer privacy, we understand that iOS is definitely the most secure software. Many sources told us that it was better than Samsung, PCs, Google's, and Apple constantly fights to protect customer information, even in criminal cases. So I think customers will be pretty happy with that. Not very worried about that. Again, next we have price fixing, and a lot of people with an iPhone in their pocket probably don't know that Apple was sued in 2012 for a whopping $450 million for price fixing. And it doesn't matter to them anymore because people continue to buy these buy iPhones and everything like that. Even in 2024, it's, there's a little bit of buzz being generated on whether or not smartphone companies are getting together and intentionally driving up prices, but that's not come to fruition yet. So more to come later. Intellectual property, we kind of see this as a kind of a me versus me situation. Apple, you're suing companies for suspected copyright infringement, but you're also getting sued for the same thing. So we suggest that you put your money elsewhere and put your time and effort into other things. And so that brings us to supply chain management and sustainability. So we understand, Apple, that you are working to eliminate underage factory workers and are working to enforce working hour limits. However, we did a little bit of research outside of the information that you gave us in the case study, and we came across allegations of workers being exposed to harmful chemicals, improper ventilation in factories, and suicide statistics. And no matter how small those suicide statistics are, they have no place in a manufacturing company. And no matter how small, we shouldn't be talking about them anyway. Again, we have sustainability. And I just have to bring up, Apple, you don't have a very good exchange system. Just about a year ago, I brought in my phone that was only 2 years old. I woke up one day and it stopped working. And I brought it in. I got a little bit of a discount, but Apple didn't even take my phone. So it was sent home with me, and it's been sitting in my desk drawer ever since. And I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to throw it away, but I also don't know what to do with the precious metals inside of it. So that brings me to more unsustainable aspects, rare earth metal mining. So iPhone components can only be harvested by mining, which is a very dangerous process for mine workers and uses non-renewable resources like crude oil, natural gas, and coal. And furthermore, if we're transporting these from overseas, we're using planes, trains, automobiles, everything, and just producing even more emissions. However, we don't want to dog on Apple too much, so that brings us to our SWOT analysis. Strengths. Apple, you have amazing brand reputation. Everybody knows the brand, everybody loves the brand, and you have great customer loyalty. What happens when you shatter your iPhone? Or what happens when you wake up one day and your iPhone stops working? You go buy another iPhone. And it's not even a second question in a lot of people's mind. And Apple, you've also been an amazing, innovative trendsetter. You were the first to really introduce AI, which is Siri. And then you were also the leader in the smartwatch movement. And then another great aspect that Apple has is your closed cloud. So that encourages people to, if you have an iPhone, if you have an iPad, to buy other Apple products because they're all going to fit together and work really well together. However, that can also be a downfall because if there are companies or schools that don't allow for Apple products to be had by students, or if it's too expensive, then like right now, I have a work issued phone and a work issued laptop. My phone is an Apple iPhone and my laptop is a Dell. So every time that I want to send something back and forth between my computer and my work phone, I either have to email it or something like that. So maybe revising to make more to make it easier to cross platforms, because again, Google also has a hard time with being compatible with Apple products, and Microsoft as well. So another weakness that we see from Apple is high prices. iPhones alone have about a $700 profit margin. That might be a little too high, and it seems to be getting higher and higher with every yearly drop. And then again, Apple, you're not incredibly sustainable. There's a lot of waste going on and a lot of unethical sourcing. Again, we talked about the dangers of cobalt mining and the suicide statistics. So the opportunities that we have, we feel that you have a great opportunity to raise manufacturing standards. And at the very least, it could generate some good PR and maybe get some other tech giants to follow suit. Next, partnerships. A great way to raise your global market share is to partner up with other cash giants like Nike. Apple and Nike formed together to form the Nike Run Club. And then again, healthcare. So how can we help healthcare and then, get money from the money tree that healthcare is? And then we have the new customer market. So having a more sustainable image could attract a new generation and a different market of people who care about company values and practices. And that lastly, we have our threats. So there's increasing competition. So some companies are catching up to Apple and, creating better, more innovative products. Headphones come to mind for me. I'm a runner. I run about 3 to 5 miles every single day. I can't use AirPods. I have tried and I ruined them because they're just not meant for running. They're not all weather headphones, and the music's not that great. So I'm gonna splurge and I'm gonna get Bose. And so that could push your people. If you're not marketing to everybody, then that competition is going to get you. And then if you continue to drive the prices up, or if you choose to make these changes to the supply chain, that's not free. So prices might have to go up even farther. And you might drive people to counterfeit items, maybe not necessarily counterfeit iPhones or counterfeit iPads, the bigger ones, but you could lose some of your AirPod sales and Apple pens, things like that. So again, or lastly, we have boycotting. So Apple, it's no secret that Generation Z is amazing at protesting, and you could face a potential boycott if customers really do get fed up with the inhumane working conditions and the high prices and the injustices.
So, bouncing off of everything Maren just gave us, to connect our strengths and opportunities to best serve our customers. So, one huge thing is the financial leverage and brand reputation. As Maren stated, it is huge. Their reputation is immense, and the brand loyalty is there, and they have an amazing rapport within their consumers. And just like Maren said, even if your iPhone breaks tomorrow, you're going to go buy a new one, even if you don't get much out of that other one. So to help their customers and to build more of a rapport with their consumers, they can go off of that financial leverage, and they have a $700 profit margin off of their phones. They could lower those prices if they wanted to. They could make it even more accessible to their consumers and to their patrons. And within their customer loyalty and their partnerships, they could work with other brands that, for instance, how they have their own AirPods, yes, they could work with other companies such as Bose, or even though they are a competitor, they could work with companies that would best suit their products to best suit their consumers. Any of this could be done to make, as I said, make it more accessible to their consumers, make it more ethically sourced. That profit margin is so huge, they could invest more time and money and resources into more ethical sourcing of their products and to make their products just better for the environment. And then following up on that with the principles of the operational excellence, product leadership, customer intimacy, these products are made for the customer. There are constant iOS updates to make these products work better for the person using them. And they are constantly wanting to make it the top dog of product, which it already pretty much is. But they are leading in the technology and their device features. They are always working towards bringing whatever a customer needs, whatever a customer wants, whether it's a new emoji, FaceTime voicemails, any of the things. So all of their strengths and opportunities can be connected to give the customer the best experience possible.
With that being said, yes, there are weaknesses, and we need to figure out a way to mitigate those, to turn those into strengths and to turn those threats into opportunities. Now, you're not going to be able to do that for every single thing, but there are some things you can do to mitigate the risk. So, for example, Maren mentioned earlier, Generation Z is becoming more and more present in the marketplace. They have the money to spend now. They're in the workforce. They have that disposable income, and you cannot treat business the same way for that generation. They care about the environment and they care about ethical treatment of workers. And as long as you can be transparent about the way that you're doing that, you can create that communication plan surrounding the treatment of your workers and the sourcing of your products and try to improve that. It's more about the communication and being transparent that will bring in Generation Z. So, for example, Foxconn in 2017, that's a major assembler of your products. And there was a major public relations crisis wherein we were learning that some people were completing suicide and that it was just a very secretive operation and a lot of negative press surrounding that. So something you can do to turn that weakness and that liability into a strength is actually become that industry leader in treatment of workers, especially those that may be third party, and become that person that people look to. So like Samsung look to you, the way that you communicate and treat your workers. So for example, increasing inspections of your facilities and being very transparent about the inspections and what's required to be an Apple, like to be connected with Apple. Another thing is sustainability in production. Again, Generation Z really cares about the environment and they're going to make purchase decisions based on that. So again, we need to be transparent. We can't just cut out the mining of cobalt because how are we going to get the product to make other products? Like that just can't happen. However, we can make real effort to be more sustainable and to be more ethical in how we're getting that, and then being transparent about that in our communication. So that is going to lead to, again, the strength of being looked to by the competition, and customers will really see that and see that Apple is the industry leader. They are treating people and they are being sustainable, and we need to buy those products because this is what we value and we want to make purchase decisions based on our values. Finally, we're moving on. So competition in the global marketplace, this is a huge threat. Apple, you are just barely the leader in mobile globally. And that was only this recent year. And Samsung is right on your heels at 23%, and you're currently at 28%. And then you have Huawei, who is coming up quick from China. So we need to be extremely, extremely aggressive in the global marketplace in order to, make more sales, because again, we have primary market share in the United States. We can't expand much more past what we already have. So if we expand globally, we're going to be able to reach more target markets than if we just focus here. And yes, there is the threat of competition. However, again, becoming the industry leader in those things mentioned earlier will help you in that competition, as well as tapping markets that are not really talked about or not really pursued, like the healthcare market, the education market. Finally, mentioned by Maren earlier is security. That's a huge threat. We see almost every day someone's hacked, someone's lost their identity, it's been stolen, and we as Apple have an amazing security. We have better security than a lot of the other products on the market. We do face that threat of governments introducing policy wherein they could access our data. However, we have shown that we're very strong and that we're not going to give that data away. Yes, it may exist, but we are very secure, and that threat of maybe possibly having a security issue becomes an opportunity to show that we are safe and we have your data, but it's going to be safe. We're going to fight the government policies that may want to use your data in a way that you're not okay with or you're not going to approve. So that would be how we turn those maybe liabilities into real strengths and opportunities for us in the future.
Apple's overall strategic direction focuses on delivering the best user experience for its customers. Apple's products are merely designed to be user-friendly while frequently improving existing features to deliver a superior experience within a timely manner. These frequent innovations and software updates often enhances business strategies from a more measurable, efficient scope of technology. According to our research, a prime example of an innovative strategy with Apple was the new location and Bluetooth permissions that were unveiled in iOS 13 software update. These measures served as an added security feature that could protect personal information while also giving users more control over what data they gave companies access to. Today, the latest software update for iOS is 17.4.1. Consumer advocates have widely praised these changes as they have given end users greater control over their data processing practices and procedures. Also, due to the brand strategy and reputation, Apple is often utilized within healthcare systems through innovative products and support while promoting technological aspects through resources, product functionality, consumer usability, and satisfaction. While developing a strategic focus, it is important that a firm distinguishes strategies through a business model canvas as shown within this presentation. Apple's strategic thrust provides sufficient focus through marketing goals and objectives and is divergent from other firms within the industry. Not to mention, the increased productivity and revenue from market shares is a huge incentive overall for Apple. While promoting cultural diversity, Apple should continue to stand apart from any other firm due to brand strategies and sustainability across all networking functionalities.
Summit has prepared 3 goals in mind for Apple. The first is to begin with market share, and it's important to understand that at the current 28%, just 3 years ago, we were at 24%. During that time, Samsung lost 4% prior to gaining back another 8%. It's important to understand how volatile the market is, but it's also important for us to dig into what this means, because at the phone level, in comparing iPhone to Google to Samsung, Apple is in the lead. But whenever you look at operating systems and begin to consider that all of these other major competitors are all running on Android, Apple is not the global leader. Apple is just the leader in selling their niche product. Our goal is for Apple to continue this growth as they have for years with an extra 1% in 2024. With that being said, how we intend to do this is to focus in 2 main areas. The first would be, what is our target market and where have we been falling short? As we spoke on previously, this is the healthcare market that will be growing 7% every year in profit for the next 5 years. That looks like $240 billion extra dollars of profit that Apple needs to cut into. From that point, we need to understand how we can keep who we already have on board and the younger generations that are coming on board and beginning their own contracts and getting off their parents' contracts. It's important for us to express the sustainability goals, the sustainable development goals that were outlined in the 2016 Paris Agreement between nations. What companies will do is they'll lean into these and put out a sustainability report, as which Apple needs to do, considering all of the, I guess you would call it, worker safety, worker quality of life issues that have been ran into, ranging from things as just danger to employees themselves killing themselves on site. We can move forward to the next one. With that being said, I want to start with how Apple will continue this growth without our help. Apple already has online stores to facilitate foreign sales to those that aren't mobile, to anyone that is in need. This facilitation of ease of purchase is vital to Apple's product. With that being said, how they market themselves within is by going with higher prices in comparison to competitors. This is going to give a more prestigious image, but also keeping you on the tip of the tongues of everybody. Likewise, the reason that they are able to do this is because of loyal customers that spread everything and word of mouth. This is brand reputation and has been spread for years. Additionally, we should lean into healthcare campaigns that would lean into the interconnectivity of iPads and all Mac devices, such as watches. This can be sent out as deals for private workers, such as nurses who want that iPad, who want that watch in order to help them, but also as deals to the companies themselves as bundles for iPhones, Macs, all these operating systems that can be interconnected that normally wouldn't. Because as Marin mentioned, I too have a Dell with my work iPhone. Nothing works. I'm emailing myself constantly.
So as we've mentioned throughout this quick pitch to you all, is that Apple has a stellar brand reputation. It has a stellar image globally, as well as nationally, extremely well received. However, in order to be that future leader in innovation, we need to prove and to show that we are not tone deaf when it comes to these issues that future generations are really valuing. And then we also need to be more creative in the ways that we are targeting our markets. So again, main challenges that we're facing, competition is huge globally. We do not lead as it comes to operating systems, and we only just lead in mobile globally. And so we really need to focus on that market because that's where we're going to expand, and that's where we're going to see those additional sales and those additional loyal customers that come back again and again. And those two issues we've constantly mentioned, working conditions and ethics in the supply chain, as well as sustainability in our production, those are going to be huge, especially in the future, because again, Generation Z cares so deeply about those things, and they are going to make their choices based on companies they feel replicate and share their own values. Again, we're going to focus on brand reputation, really just building Apple up as the industry leader in as many areas as we can possibly get. We are the industry leader in innovation and in, clean packaging. We're industry leaders in so many different things. However, we could be doing better in the areas surrounding ethical treatment of workers, as well as sustainability. Again, we can expand to that healthcare market. It is growing substantially, and we do not do enough to really penetrate into that market. Again, that's a real area for growth, and especially going and competing in that global market, we're going to have to pick something to really focus on. And I think healthcare, as it's growing and as more money is being poured into these like experimental treatments, more people are valuing healthcare and going to get that healthcare service. There's going to be opportunity for that technology, especially when you get to telehealth and telecommunication to get your healthcare. You're going to need a product for that, and Apple can become that product. So we hope that you will take these recommendations, take them under advisement. We have some resources at the end of this presentation if you'd like to look into them. Do you have any questions for us?
I was going to go back and just say on, let's see, which one is it? Slide 4. It's actually the Apple One, not the Apple I. The Apple One was the first one that came out with. The Apple II was actually one with a keyboard and a console. It was the first microcomputer of its age like that. It came out just about the time the Radio Shack Model 1 came out. It was revolutionary and even evolutionary in its day. And it made a major connection. I was going to say, one of the things that you pointed out, I think, is a great place for Apple to go. You said it on slide 5. You talked about their security. Then on slide 10, you talked about security again. And I put here, perhaps Apple's future is in security. I could see Apple coming up with the Apple Home and a series of routers that would connect to the iPads and the Apple cloud system. And you would have a very secure home, especially in times like this, where you are worried about issues, especially when they come to internet.
So one place we wanted to focus with security as well as healthcare, which I blew right by it and missed it, was the healthcare portal that we were looking at in our goals. This would be something where a healthcare portal could be shared. It'd be ran on the Mac OS, and based on that, we use our reservations or Apple's reservations to share your information with the government and whoever else to their advantage in order to express to the client that all of your information is safe within an Apple product.
You see,
Yeah,
I would expand the apples into the really deep into the peripheral systems in healthcare, because it is amazing the penetration that Apple has gotten without even trying. And if I were Apple, that would be my way of penetrating into the healthcare market, by simply saying, we're already here and we never tried. And they can definitely go even further than that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, something that I think Apple could really do better than any other company. I don't know if any of you have used my chart, but it is not user friendly at all. Those electronic health records like Epic are going to be really difficult to beat at this point, because all the systems are kind of talking to Epic. So you can't really be that electronic health record, but you can be that portal that's extremely user friendly that people go to so that patients have ease of use and can get their electronic health record. And you can keep that secure while also offering a product that just doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, and I mean, the difficulty, of course, was the HIPAA Act of 2004, 2007, which kind of threw all of security basically all over the internet into kind of a crazy state right now. So everything has to go through the HIPAA Act first. So yeah, that would be interesting. I can see remote healthcare coming around. I actually talked to, I have a friend of mine who is an audiologist, and we were talking about the marketing idea of being able to have a traveling audiologist, where you would have all the equipment in a, in a van type of piece of equipment. They do the audiology strips right there inside the van, and an audiologist from a remote location can interpret those results. So yeah, there's a future out there that they haven't even begun to grab yet.
We're actually doing something very similar at my work. We're having a mobile hearing clinic from UNC proper. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing moving forward, like 1 or 2 days a month for those pediatric patients that need the audiologist.
I'm a mind reader, yeah. So no, I have a friend of mine who's on the West Coast. He's an audiologist. He's got like a bunch of places, and he and I were going on. So that's fascinating. Well, I could go on. Anything else?
I was going to say in the chat, I know Robin just said, I wonder if they could partner with AWS and Amazon Pharmacy and Healthcare. So that definitely would be a great idea if in a sense it went in that direction.
I totally agree, and I think it's one of those brave new worlds out there that we don't know where the start is yet, but I agree with you. Yeah.
And that would be another way to fully bounce off of those strengths. And like mentioned in the thing, partnerships, that would be massive. Apple and Amazon, everybody's two favorite go-to brands for everyday life.
The thing with that is you're doubling down on security as well, because Amazon's biggest business is their protection of data. It's not even us buying their stuff. So I mean, that would be vital to having the base to build on.
And I had told my group, I had mentioned to my group that Apple, my card being in my Apple wallet, it is safer for your card to be on your Apple wallet than it is to physically carry it on your body every day. My Apple wallet detected that my bank account information had been stolen long before my bank ever even notified me. I notified my bank. So it does tremendous things in that realm of security also.
Awesome. Yeah. Brave new world out there. I think Apple needs, their reputation, and no matter how you want to put it, is so stellar that I think that it can lend itself. To me, the core of Apple's success has always been an unparalleled experience. And if you put that into any other particular experiences, including healthcare, they have something of value to deliver. And just depends on when they're getting around to it. So anything else?
Thank you very much for Dr. Schaus for letting us present.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. No problem.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you to everybody for your time as well.
You bet. So we're going to go back to Google. Where are we at?
Yes, sir. Right. I believe we have it figured out. No problem.
All right. You may fire when ready.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Google.
Could everybody hear that? Okay.
Yes, Luke.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
we
right.
can. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Google Searches. This is Group A. We are Erica, Haley, Mariah, Fiven, and Luke. Today, we will be talking about some challenges that Google has been experiencing, some recommendations that we have, as well as some critical issues that we've identified. The critical issues that we've identified throughout our case include some consumer trust, censorship, privacy issues, some ethical issues that are identified, and we also identify some fair competition that we will discuss throughout the case. Some of the recommendations that we will be making throughout the case also include for Google to increase transparency, strengthen their privacy policies. These would obviously ease consumer concerns, invest in more ethical artificial intelligence, and work more strategically with regulators throughout the world, not just in the United States. The goals and objectives that we will be discussing include to strengthen perception, strengthen the consumer trust, increase market share, invest in artificial intelligence and cloud computing, and increase their revenue streams and not rely so much in advertising.
Overview. Google, founded in 1998 by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, revolutionized online information retrieval. Its advanced search engine technology transformed the digital landscape fundamentally. Google handles billions of searches daily, capturing about 90% of the global market share. This dominance solidifies its position as the primary gateway to information for users worldwide. Beyond search, Google diversified into various sectors through strategic acquisitions. These multi-billion-dollar acquisitions propelled Google into businesses ranging from advertising to AI. Google remains dedicated to innovation, sustainability, and corporate social responsibility. Despite facing more dilemmas and governmental scrutiny, Google upholds its commitment to ethical business practices. Google's product line spans customer devices, productivity tools, and cutting-edge technologies. Additionally, initiatives like Google.org shows its commitment to driving positive social change. Google's influence extends beyond technology. It impacts communities and industries worldwide. Recognized as one of the most innovative and morally conscious companies globally, Google sets a high standard for corporate responsibility. Google continues to shape digital landscape, embodying innovation, sustainability, and social responsibility. As a leader in technology and ethics, Google's impact resonates across the globe, influencing both businesses and society.
Furthering our analysis of the Google Searches case study and Google itself, we've arrived at the SWOT analysis portion of the presentation. Next slide, please. Much like, as some of Google's strengths include that they are the #1 search engine in the world, they have excellent brand recognition and offer a diverse product mix. They also institute a fun culture and their excellent partnership with Android. Now, when examining Google's strengths, some questions naturally arise, such as how do these strengths enable the firm to effectively compete against their competitors? First of all, their fun culture radiates throughout their entire organization and is one of the main drivers that allows them to innovate their products even further and create new ones. They also offer the diverse product mix, like as I mentioned before, not only including the search engine of Google itself, but also YouTube, Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides, as well as many other handy time-saving devices such as Google Meets and Gmail. They also have a partnership with Android, which trades off their own success as well as Android's and allows Google's services to be expanded past the desktop sphere to the mobile one as well. Another question that arises during this consideration of Google's strengths is how do these differentiate them from their competitors? As an example, providing consumers with quality products at a free price point is one of the main things that sets Google apart from its competitors. This is because all that is needed to run most of these products is a computer and an internet connection, or as I said previously, a mobile device. They also utilize the freemium business model, which means that in this realm of free products, they offer upgrades to various different things. But since their main revenue is from the ad revenue they use, these free products bring in further customers and consumers that enhance the ad revenue. Next slide. Much like other companies, Google has several weaknesses, one of them being privacy policies and concerns about these that the consumers have, as well as ethical issues and the ever-increasing issue of censorship in the technological industry. When examining these weaknesses, one must consider how these prevent the firm from meeting customers' needs. First off, with consumers of Google's products being worried about how their information is being used. This does not only include search results or what they've searched, but their own personal information such as their name, address, location, and other such factors that expose them to hacking attacks. This is also combined with recent surges in censorship issues such as Operation Dragonfly, which was where they tried to illegally enter into China and to offer their services there. This brings us into the ethical issues that they face as well, as a perfect example of this being Operation Dragonfly. How these weaknesses negatively differentiate them from their competitors is that this topic of censorship mainly has driven so many users to other people's products, such as the case of YouTube and Rumble, very famous case of the last few years. Next slide, please. Again, much like most companies, there are plenty of opportunities that Google can use to further its success and negate these weaknesses that we've mentioned. First of all, they're furthering of artificial intelligence investment and advancement, as well as removing censorship on all platforms that they own. Furthermore, increasing transparency and being involved in third-party audits by the FTC and other regulators to improve their image in the consumer's mind. How are these opportunities related to serving customers' needs? Well, first of all, taking advantage of the ever-increasing and advancement of artificial intelligence will allow them to better their recommendations based on users' search history. While that sounds like a double-edged sword, there is for this to properly work, there does need to be a give and take. Also, with the aforementioned desire for transparency and removal of censorship, they can really use that third-party audit to not only increase the consumer's perception of Google itself, but also make them a leader in the technological industry. Now, considering the time horizon of these opportunities is that advancing AI technology has a short to medium time horizon, given the recent explosion such as ChatGPT and other such artificial intelligence services that have popped up recently. However, the reduction of censorship and the institution of third-party audits have a long to almost indefinite time frame, given the vagrancies of regulators and the difficulty and time required to get customer and stakeholder input. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, again, we have the threats that Google faces currently include consumer and government's views of censorship, user backlash over the various tracking and privacy issues, privacy audits themselves, as well as the unfortunate increase in hacking attacks and fines due to privacy violations. How are these threats related to serving customer needs? Themselves are found by there's a growing number of consumers and governments being worried about censorship and how their data is being used. As an example, 52% of Google's consumers have lost faith in the company, meaning they are risking losing the majority of their users and suffering a great deal of revenue loss. There's also the concerns of being tracked not just while you're actually using Google, but across multiple different platforms as well as one's location. There's also heavy fines being associated, especially in the European Union, with privacy issues and people not respecting one's privacy, similar to the right to be forgotten issues that we discussed earlier. Again, unfortunately, there is an ever-increasing and ever-present risk of hacking attacks, and that unfortunately will probably not go away. There is always somebody that can beat whatever the latest and greatest firewall. So it will be a continuous improvement process. The time horizon of each of these threats is long, given that working with consumers and the government to face their backlash and return at least the 52% of consumers that have lost faith in them back to the fold will take a long time, given the necessity to get all the stakeholders and consumers back to satisfy their needs and conduct the proper research. Further, there is sadly no way that the hacking attacks will not continue.
Next, we will talk about how Google can develop its competitive advantages based on the different strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So some of the questions that were posed during this case, in order after analyzing the SWOT, which are the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats that Luke just described for us, are how can we describe ways that the firm can match its strengths to its opportunities to create capabilities in serving the consumer's needs? So as you notice here, these are some of the strengths that we identified and some of the opportunities. Since we spoke about the fact that Google is the #1 search engine, and as the largest user base in the industry, they can use this position as a strong competitive advantage in a way, and then use that opportunity to grow the user base experience by exploring and excelling further into new and more challenging markets around the world, such as artificial intelligence and cloud computing and mobile devices, basically leaning into their core strengths. An additional advantage of being the #1 search engine in the world is that Google has power to secure partnerships and secure access to large volumes of data. Its company culture and commitment, as Luke mentioned, of securing that top talent from all around the world, presents Google with that unique opportunity to develop advanced solutions in what we already mentioned, artificial intelligence or cloud computing, which could allow them the opportunity to not just continue to be the best, but even surpass the abilities of the competition, such as Microsoft and Apple. Because as we stand, if we consider just cloud computing, Google is not ahead of them. They're actually behind the competition. The next question was, are these capabilities and competitive advantages grounded in the basic principles of operational excellence, product leadership, or customer intimacy? And if so, how are these capabilities and advantages made apparent to the customers? Well, Google has been the market leader with intense competition, but Google has also accomplished to be in the position of recruiting for the best. Their culture is one that they're proud of. It's one where they empower its employees with a flexible work environment that fosters creativity and promotes operational excellence, develops the best leaders in the industry to position its product at the top always. Google has invested in several initiatives that support economic development, environmental awareness as well, which has created a big buzz across different industries. And they also support a lot of charitable organizations. They have a lot of charitable endeavors. Google has a commitment to people, as we can see here, and it's just evident as they take strong stance to protect the environment, fight for freedom of speech, and continue to strengthen their efforts to increase privacy, which it's a double-edged sword because they try to do these, but they still have gotten in a lot of trouble, as we saw in the critical issues that we identified. So let's talk a little bit about Google Ventures. Google Ventures, for Google, they provide funding for startup firms that are at the forefront of technological innovation and green technology. And this strengthens their position of operational excellence, as we talked about earlier. And these capabilities and advantages have become apparent to customers as Google has taken a strong stand to be just the top innovative in technology. Google reached its goal of 100% renewable energy for its global operations back in 2017. Data centers use less energy than other data centers and are committed to shipments that are carbon neutral and use recycled materials for every product that they make. So as you can see, they do use their capabilities and competitive advantage in order to continue to show that they care about what the customer wants, what the customer needs, and show that they are invested in that product leadership and excellence. So the next question that came up with it was, can the firm convert its weaknesses identified during the SWOT analysis into strengths, or its threats into opportunities? Well, one of the biggest threats that we identify was that Google has been I guess in front of the consumer, as they have been having issues about privacy. There are privacy concerns. These represent obstacles for the overall consumer trust. We believe that they could take this opportunity to improve and strengthen its internal controls and its privacy practices to ensure that user information is secured and respected. They can put processes in place to improve internal controls as well. They can use marketing strategies better, or create better marketing strategies that use those opportunities, such as being the world's most ethical company due to its contributions to the community and the environment to regain the public trust. They can invest in marketing to remind the public that they continue to be on the 100 best companies to work for, due in part of the innovations that they have been able to develop. And that way they ensure that their practices will continue to improve and once again regain the trust of the consumers in other industries. Now, does the firm possess any major liabilities or limitations? And if so, are these liabilities and limitations apparent to the consumer? So we identified that 52% of Google users have concerns about privacy. One thing that we found was information related to the third-party doctrine and Patriot Act. Basically, is the threat that government could take possession of data as deemed necessary. That, of course, adds to that lack of trust that people have. So they it enhances that lack of trust. The continued disregard of privacy and violation of public trust. Well, Google relies on these in order to track what is necessary due to their heavy reliance on advertising. So in terms of how can they turn this around, right? These limitations that they have, well, if they're relying so much on advertising, we discussed the possibility of looking for other streams of revenue in order for them not to rely so much in that advertising. So that will come in our recommendations. We talked about liabilities or limitations that include government legislation that could restrict Google's ability to coordinate targeted advertising and the increased hacking attacks. Within our recommendations, you will see how there might be some opportunities there for Google to tackle these issues in the future. So just to close this section, although Google is a strong brand, it must pay attention to the threats that continue to jeopardize its position and reputation. It must also do so in order to find other opportunities that eliminate its strong reliance on advertising revenues. The reliance on collecting of data to continue to grow is putting a halt on their growth, and this could probably leave Google in a very vulnerable state and could very likely be the end of it. So we will move forward to the next section.
So in this slide, I will discuss Google's overall strategic focus, the direction of this focus, as well as the strategic approach that differentiates Google from other companies. Okay, so Google's marketing strategy is built on delivering innovative and valuable products and services to users while maximizing revenue through targeted advertising. This strategy's key pillar is leveraging Google's brand reputation, technological capabilities, and extensive user data. These resources are harnessed to create personalized experiences, capture market shares across various digital platforms. And in terms of strategic direction, Google's approach is aggressive and well diversified. The company constantly expands its presence in a new market and industry while defending its position in existing ones. This is achieved through aggressive growth strategies such as product innovation, strategy acquisition, and partnership to kind of maintain Google's leadership position in the tech industry. And for Google strategic focus is best illustrated on strategy canvas, where its emphasis on innovation, customer engagement, and market leadership is also clear. However, its strategic stress sets Google apart, which provides unique focus, and this focus on continuously improving AI and cloud computation, as well as ethical practices. However, it also diverged from other industry firms through its strong commitment to environmental sustainability, social responsibility, as well as technological advancement. This strategic approach allows Google to differentiate itself from competitors and underscores its commitment to long-term goals and values while maintaining its position as a leader market.
Next, I'm going to be going over some of Google's marketing goals and objectives. So some long-term goals of Google, obviously it's very important for a company to have certain goals in mind and have some ideas of how they're going to accomplish these goals. So a few goals that we came up with for Google, obviously compliance is a big one, being compliant with privacy, censorship, and antitrust laws in order to strengthen, the perception of Google as a brand, as a company, and also to strengthen that consumer trust in Google. Trust is a keyword here. That's going to be a big one. Obviously, consumers want to trust a brand and a company in order to want to use their products and services. Another goal of Google is to increase Google market share to combat competitors. Keeping up with the competition is another important thing for a business and a company. Just finding ways to continuously be innovative and keeping tabs on what their competitors are doing and how they can differentiate themselves as a brand. Another goal is to increase the presence and emergence of AI and cloud computing in Google's products and services. I think we're all aware AI, cloud computing, it's becoming big things in today's society. That's kind of the trend of where technology is seeming to go these days. So how can Google best implement these, processes and techniques and things into their products and services to kind of meet the need of consumers? And then lastly, Google wants to increase their revenue streams and expand entertainment options. Again, that also goes hand in hand with just being innovative and how can they continuously be upping their game and increasing their sphere of offerings. Goal number 1 for Google is to be compliant with the privacy and antitrust laws. And this also kind of goes hand in hand with how can they stay compliance with legal activity. And their main objective here is to implement robust or stronger privacy policies and practices. So obviously they're going to need some action steps in order to accomplish this goal. They can conduct comprehensive privacy audits and assessments quarterly, enhancing user controls for data privacy, settings on all Google platforms, and then establishing a dedicated compliance team to monitor adherence to antitrust laws and regulations. I think an important thing here for Google is how can they take a step back and look inside their company from the outside looking in? Can they have a dedicated team that's going to be honest with the company and take a look at how they're truly doing in some of these areas? All of it goes to benefit the consumer and, just being honest with themselves, I think is a key thing here in having that team that's going to hold Google accountable for how well they're doing with the privacy policies and practices.
Another goal of Google is to increase their market share in emerging technologies. The objective here is to expand AI and cloud computing offerings. So action steps, how can they accomplish this? By allocating additional resources for research and development in AI, as well as cloud computing technologies quarterly. Research and development is a big thing here. How can Google set aside a little bit more time and effort and money to take a look into some of these things and do some research in ways that society and trends are continuously changing, and how best can they keep up with those trends and meet the needs of consumers. Another action step is to launch new AI-powered services and tools targeted at enterprise clients, and then also to partner with other entities such as universities or research institutions to accelerate this innovation in AI and cloud computing. Obviously, Google is a very large corporation, a very large business, but how can they further use their resources outside of their own business to help with their understanding of the ways that technology is growing and how they can best improve their products and services to meet the needs of consumers. The next goal of Google is to strengthen the perception of their brand, of their image, as well as strengthening that consumer trust. Like I said, this is a very important one, and really the objective here is going to be to enhance the transparency and communication with users. Transparency is super important. Us as consumers, I feel like we always feel like we're being lied to these days by businesses, and it's the job of Google to figure out how they can get these consumers to trust them and to want to use their products and services. So some action steps would be for Google to implement regular transparency reports outlining data usage and privacy practices, as well as enhancing communication channels for user feedback and concerns. I think this is super important. Users want to feel heard, consumers want to feel heard, and like their opinion matters, and they want to feel validated in the way that they're feeling. So giving consumers an option to, tell Google how they're feeling and let Google know how well they're doing in some of these privacy areas is super important. And kind of going hand in hand with that, Google can conduct annual surveys to gauge user perception and trust in their products and services. I think this is going to be a huge one for Google, just knowing where they stand in the eyes of consumers. How else are they really to know how well they're doing and what users think of them if they don't ask for their opinion directly? Another goal of Google is to diversify their revenue streams. Instead of focusing on, just like advertising or one or two ways to produce this revenue and bring money in, I think Google needs to really expand some of these areas. So their objective here is to expand their entertainment options beyond just advertising, like I said. How are they going to do this? Perhaps by acquiring or developing new entertainment platforms and content libraries, implementing subscription-based models for premium content and services, and then exploring partnerships with content creators and studios to produce exclusive content for Google platforms. So I think we're all well aware of, entertainment platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, YouTube TV. They're all dominating Google right now. And Google needs to come up with ways of how they're going to compete in that type of market, whether that's offering their own live streaming platform or their own entertainment platform. How can they keep up with the competition versus being, in the eyes of consumers, just an avenue for searching for definitions and things of that sort?
To summarize our presentation, we'll be going over the objectives of Google, and they include, next slide, sorry. They include the implementation of robust privacy policies and practices, expanding AI investment and cloud computing offerings, enhancing transparency and communication with their users, and expanding entertainment options beyond advertising. Our time horizon for these objectives, as we've mentioned, and many of them were long, so we estimate a conservative time frame of 24 to 48 months, meaning that we expect these recommendations to be implemented by 2026 through 2028. Now, for measurements of success or failure for our recommendations, we have listed the following. Has Google regained consumer trust? Have they implemented privacy policies and practices that are more transparent? Have they furthered their existing or innovated new products? Have they followed through on their commitment to ensuring fair competition with their competitors? And finally, have they maintained their market share? Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, feel free to ask them as we stay here.
I think very much that Google is almost, I would say, even the opposite of Apple in many ways. I mean, it's over and over again. I mean, the security issues that they're having, threat is a major issue. There's a reason, and there's a reason. It's a policy. In other words, they accept that, and that is part of Google at this moment. The difficulty is that Google's work is open to abuse. I think that's pretty obvious. And another difficulty is they accept a certain amount of vulnerability. And that you've also got to note that the speed in which Google does his searches is because they don't put in some of the necessary filters of other search engines. But if we are Google users, we accept that, all right? If you're another using a different search engine, perhaps not. But we like that, and that's why Google does it. But the problem is you can't count on consumer trust unless you deal with privacy. So I think you pretty much nailed that one on the head. How do they go about fixing that? I think in your objectives, you said it. You know, you have to listen to the consumers, but it will be a major change in philosophy to be able to do that. So we'll see. But I like all of this. Is anybody? I'm opening it up. Is there any other observations that you have? Anything at all? Okay. All right. Well,
I think it was challenging for us to find negative things about Google when you're Googling it, right? So we tried to go to other platforms.
Well, I would consider that to be the first error because nobody is perfect. You know, I mean, I could go on. But yeah, oh yeah, I'm going to search Google and look for problems in my Google search engine. It's going to look for only the things that they fixed and not the problems that they still deal with, you know? Yeah.
They were quick to
Thank you all
explain
for
that
listening.
Bing is more restrictive than the Chinese national search engine, but they were not as quick to mention Operation Dragonfly, their own failings.
Well, I'll give you the big one. I mean, I've been doing this for decades. If you look up Tiananmen Square in 1986, and you use the Chinese Google search engine, you will not find the bagman in front of the tank. All right. That doesn't exist. And so Google has a bad reputation for embracing censorship. And if you're going to be a search engine, I don't want you to limit my searches. I want to be able to see everything. And I think to me personally, one of their failures is their willingness to embrace censorship. I'm not with that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Our last one is Wal-Mart Dominates. So without further ado, I will let you take it over.
Yes, everyone, did you want me to share my screen?
Yes, please. Go right ahead.
Yes, please, Robin.
Let's see.
Can y'all hear me, by the way? Just making sure that my sound's working. Okay.
Yes. Okay, let me know if y'all can see.
We can see.
Let me know when you're ready to switch. But our group worked on the Walmart problem dominates with world-class supply chain. Walmart was founded in the 1960s by Sam Walton, and it was originally known as the Waltons 5 and 10. So kind of like 7-Eleven is named 7-Eleven because its hours were 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Walmart was meant to be the one-stop shop for local rural townsfolk who wanted a place where they could pick up tires and shampoo and groceries. So his original strategy was always a low price. And they've carried that into their future existence of focusing on price. But today we're going to bring up some more recent issues that have stemmed from a very long-term struggle with their identity as a bargain store, and how they're kind of working with and against that notion to produce growth in their industry. Some quick facts for you. This is from 2024, so our case analysis was set in 2020, but we've kind of brought it forward since some things have changed fundamentally with the country since then. But currently Walmart has 10,623 stores. They do almost $700 billion annually in sales. They spend $3.41 billion in ad spending a year, which we'll talk about later. They operate in 19 countries, which was surprising to me because I've never thought of, and I've traveled the world. I've never seen a Walmart abroad, but I guess I've just never gone to one of those countries. They have a 25% range of gross profit margin, and they employ 2.1 million people, which is more than all of the students in the UNC system. So if you can conceptualize that, it's a lot of people that they employ globally. And we will play for you Nathan's part. Let me know if you can hear it. It didn't give me an option to share audio. It is not giving me an option to share audio. Sorry about that. I know when I clicked on the thing, it did not give me 3 dots. I went against my own option. There we go. Can you guys hear now?
So for the executive summary, the main problem here. Here would be looking at Walmart's bigger.
Sorry, it is giving me so much trouble. There we go. Sorry. I just texted Ashley. We could not hear it. I apologize. I don't know why it's not working. But I will just go ahead and share and give the basic rundown of what Nathan is saying. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me see if you can actually hear me. I think I'll be able to hear you now that I switched you back to my ears. But basically, we're going over some main problems. That there is a ton of competition. If you haven't sort of noticed, if you haven't noticed, Amazon is taking over the world with online shopping. And it's not something that's going to go away. So Walmart has had to really accommodate for it, but we'll talk about whether or not they're accommodating in a way that is helpful for their strategies and for their original mission. Customer satisfaction has always been a huge sort of complaint, but also ideological trend around Walmart. What can you expect from a bargain store? And then there's outdated technology. As in any operation as large as Walmart and as retail goes, Technology is constantly updating, but the overhead to update it in the stores is really high. So we'll talk about where we can update technology in order to maximize efficiency and consumer satisfaction. And then we'll talk about recommendations for their online shopping platform. Walmart Plus is a huge thing that has come up since 2020, where we can invest in new technology to go over efficiency levels and satisfaction levels, and then how we can use all of that to increase the loyalty that Walmart saw for decades that has been dwindling since the 2000s, and how we can go about really modernizing the idea of Walmart. Oh, is it working now? Okay. And I will turn it over for strengths and weaknesses.
My slide's not changing, Ashley.
Let's see what.
There you go. I got it now.
Oh, did it work?
Yeah, it did. Performing the SWOT analysis on this case provided a long list of strengths and weaknesses. One of the great things about Walmart is just the size, the capital that they have, the online presence, the brick and mortar stores that they have everywhere, the massive list of suppliers, world-class supply chain management, and then of course the everyday low pricing that Walmart operates with are some of the great things about the company. Some of the weaknesses that they've had is that e-commerce has been underperforming and losing money. The stock prices fell really because of the unethical concerns with the company practices in other countries, and weak subcontractor standards, and failed businesses abroad. Just culture didn't dictate that this business did well in that setting. Next slide, please. The opportunities that we saw was a lot of room in e-commerce growth, technology that can be changed to improve checkout, growth in the third-party seller network, and really believe that the strength of Amazon has been their third-party seller network. And so if Walmart could tap into that, they can be really competitive, and that also would aid in international growth. Some of the threats that they've had is international business practices. What may be common in one country may be unethical in another. We saw that as we reviewed what they did in Mexico with some of the bribes to get permits passed in a timely manner. Some of the other threats will be competitor growth in e-commerce as Amazon continues to take off and expand into grocery, and supplier safety standards was another concern, that could really hurt Walmart. With that many suppliers, it's hard to track everything that happens and every move they make. So you're always at risk for what could happen there. Next slide.
Awesome. So, and sorry, you guys get to see a little bit behind the mirror, but I don't think it was working well when I had it in the presenter mode. So you'll get to see how we set up our slides. But Walmart has always gone off the motion of saving people money is the way to maintain your business, right? It started out with always low prices. Always, they've moved to the motto now, save people money so that they can live better. It's a little more modern and chic. But Walmart is not only a corporation in America, but it's sort of like a cultural standpoint, right? We can track where we've been in time based off of how Walmart has succeeded. And, people grow up going to Walmart as like their time out, right? And I'm enjoying a Sam's Cola tonight in honor of Walmart. But people grew up and Walmart was their weekly outing. So we want to talk about how we can go back to not only using Walmart as a place where people can get their groceries in an affordable way, but as a cultural standpoint. So everyday low price EDLP strategy is the core of everything that Walmart does. They believe in penetration pricing, and they can do that because of their supply chain, but also because of their history with their suppliers and their history with the public. They also offer a price match guarantee. So if you find a lower price anywhere else and you can have documentation of that, they will lower the price for you. Implementing the EDLP is really on the basis of an economy of scale. So Walmart operates in massive economies of scales, right? They have over 163 distribution centers. They employ 93,000 associates in their distribution itself. They have their own blockchain, which we'll talk about later. And they've had relationships with some of these suppliers for decades. And we'll talk later also about how that could be used to advantage, but also to a disadvantage for Walmart itself, because it's kind of stuck in this operating strategy that it's been in for a very long time. But overall, they can provide the price that they can provide because they're buying not only, you know, a pallet of toothpaste, they're buying an entire truckload of toothpaste at one time, or they're producing it and distributing it themselves. So that's why they're able to go in at such a penetrating price that competition can't really match. So what are some of the benefits of this EDLP strategy? I would say that one of the top benefits is their spending on advertising. For a company of their size, they could expect to track between 1% to 3% of their overall net revenue on advertising based off of competition in the recent years, but they're spending less than 1%, less than 0.5% of their net revenue on that advertising. So they spend $3.41 billion annually on advertising versus something like Amazon. They spend $13.48 billion a year in 2022 alone on advertising. So because of this strategy, they've become known as the low price people. They don't have to advertise that as much. But what they are advertising is the ways in which they can compete with Amazon, and Amazon is their #1 competitor. They can do this through Walmart Plus. I don't know if anybody else has Walmart Plus, but essentially you pay a one-time flat rate subscription fee. And in the two-part pricing model, you gain benefits where you are then giving low-cost delivery or free delivery, depending on how you want it. Bundles that offer gas, that offer Paramount Plus. They're partnering with certain credit cards so that you can have Walmart Plus with your credit card fee. They partnered with Shopify, and anything that can be sold on Shopify is sold on Walmart.com, optionally through the vendor. So if that vendor wants to sell on Walmart.com, they have that option, and it doesn't add to Walmart any added burden or distribution channels that they would have to monitor. They just have to monitor to make sure that that stock meets their quality standards. And then they're offering store updates. So they're updating the store aesthetic to meet the modern aesthetic. And that's one way that they can compete at a brick and mortar level where Amazon can't offer you that display ability, the ability to try on clothes, the ability to have luxury brand in store and get that luxury brand today. You can see an example of this in that they're integrating things like Gap, Yankee Candle, luxury brands of makeup like Yves Saint Laurent and Dolce & Gabbana. But we also have to recognize that this is in part going away from their main strategy. So while this is also a strength that we talked about earlier, their ability to diversify in a market, it's also a weakness, right? Because Gap is an expensive brand. Yankee Candle is an expensive brand. So how do we balance the idea of offering affordable luxury and focusing on what made Walmart the titan that it is today, which was its affordability and its no frills, no fuss attitude. And this is where Walmart Plus has really gained a lot of popularity. The subscription price is $98 a year. So it's lower than something like Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, I believe, is like 142 something a year. And they're offering their low-cost products delivered, so that way you can have the luxury and affordability that you crave from Walmart and the luxury of delivery. So even if you're using something like EBT or food stamps, you can have the luxury of delivery and not pay extra for it. So they're really focusing on lower income populations, which are their core. Their marketing mix, they offer all-in-one shopping. I don't know if you're like me, but when I go to Walmart, I leave with car oil, makeup, groceries, shoes. Like you can leave with everything. They offer that EDLP strategy, so it's very high volume. They expect their average cart to be much larger and very low marginal revenue versus something like a Whole Foods where the average cart is about 5 items. The average cart at Walmart is much, much more because of this all-in-one low price shopping experience. So they rely on that really high volume. They don't have to offer as much promotional events other than things like major events like Walmart Black Friday. They also offer early access for Walmart Plus. So that's yet another price saving that you can get through Walmart Plus. And they rely on their just general ability to be known in the public, right? So something like another store, Walmart, Sprouts, Target, may not have as much brand awareness, especially in rural communities. But recent studies show that 93% of US consumers are aware of the Walmart brand, and a further 63% interact in an economic level with Walmart. So they're purchasing from Walmart, they have a Walmart subscription, even if they don't use it. And this has led to them performing really well economically. They've had a 6% increase from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23. And that trend is just growing as Walmart does grow. And this is really reliant on their demographic. So a core strength of Walmart's demographic and of the corporation as a whole is that they really do appeal to people based on income. So as you can see, roughly 50% of people, and I can increase the size on this, but 50% of consumers make less than $50,000 a year that shop at Walmart. If you know anything about the state of living in the US, $50,000 is not even minimum, to survive at a comfortable level, right? The average middle class is $70,000. So people who are shopping at Walmart are largely lower income, and they're largely white non-Hispanic. So this really does bring us back to the rural roots, right? Benton, Arkansas, sorry, I don't know why I forgot the word. We are in the deep, deep rural farming communities. So we're going back to those no frills. And then people of all ages shop at Walmart. So it's really relating back to that rural, lower income communities. And you can also see that most of Walmart's business is done at Walmart. So they have other subsidiaries like Walmart International, Sam's Club, but most of the people who are shopping for items at Walmart are shopping for grocery, and they're shopping at the lower level, so not bulk like restaurants. So we really want in our plan to feed into this demographic of lower income, rural, and shopping for necessities, not necessarily shopping for the frilly items that people can't really afford nowadays, largely due to inflation. So inflation right now is at about 8%, or if you're calculating based on chained inflation, so related to like the value of the dollar, we're at about 7%, but inflation is higher than it has been in recent history. And income has not gone up based on that. So we want to focus not on, and not to call out iPhones, right? But people can't really afford iPhones. People can't really afford these luxuries like, bringing up fancy dinners or going out and partying. They have to spend their money on essentials. So Walmart needs to go back to the roots of giving essentials at a low and affordable price that people can rely on that quality and not have to buy again. So as you can see, people are buying essentials and they are just completely, and this is like a really depressing statistic, but 100 is the average cost of living. So saying that you can make an affordable living based off of one salary and live comfortably, no frills, but like pay all your bills. So most states are above that 100 cost of living now. They have to actually increase the scale to 200, which is double the cost of living. So we really want to focus on providing a world-class experience at that everyday low price guarantee. And then internally, the biggest sort of threat to that would be the workers. Because workers are so split on the image of Walmart, we want to focus on rebuilding that internal family dynamic for our workers to ensure that they are not only promoters of the company, but they're moving up from within. So as you can see, about 36% of people who work at Walmart say they would again, who were surveyed. 35% said they wouldn't, and 29% are just kind of in the middle, which is a really low sort of rate between the two. Rarely do you see something in the 1 to 2% where it's so close, people saying, yes, I love it, and no, I hate it. As an example, Amazon has about 31%. Most people say they love it. Some really vehement people say they hate it. And there's a bunch of people in the middle who don't really care. So that's where we're going to be kind of moving forward, is we're trying to focus the company back on that everyday low price and make sure that we are focusing internally also on restructuring the company. Now we'll pass it forward.
All right. Can y'all hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Awesome. So what I gathered from the SWOT analysis is there are a lot of things that Walmart is very, very good at, but I honed in on 6 main ones here. And what I can also tell you is that they're all pretty interconnected as well. But I think they're worth calling out individually as we go along. So the first one we have is everyday low prices. If there's anything I'm going to take away from this project, it is EDLP, everyday low prices. You cannot avoid it if you're learning about Walmart. And so I'll just go ahead and go to the next slide. So in order for Walmart to achieve their everyday low prices, they have several methods of doing so. As you see them listed here, economies of scale, which is basically saying that due to Walmart's large number of stores, the size of this company, they are able to purchase goods in large quantities, and therefore they're able to negotiate better prices from the suppliers because they're buying in bulk, essentially. Unfortunately, that can be difficult, excuse me, for smaller companies to compete with, but it is one of the main ways that Walmart is able to transfer the savings to the customer. Also, I would like to point out that Walmart has a large customer base, which enables them to spread any marketing costs across a large base. So that's also an additional savings that is transferred to the customers as well, because it minimizes the expense. Next is the vendor managed inventory. Walmart has successfully transferred the cost and responsibility, for the most part, of managing inventory to the supplier. I'm not going to lie, I thought this was amazing. Basically, what Walmart did is they said, okay, you know, you can have access to our systems, so you can see, they're saying this to the supplier, you can see how much inventory you have in our stores. And when you see it getting low, you can go ahead and send more over to us. That way, Walmart does not have to pay someone to manage that inventory. The supplier will do it. Also, they employ, I mean, they're just known for their amazing supply chain management. And that's also on the next slide as well. So I'll dive into that a little bit more if you want to go to the next one, Robin. Thank you. So again, that vendor managed inventory. And then there's other things that they use that, again, ties back to the everyday low prices, but ties into their supply chain management. Things like just-in-time or JIT pricing, or cross-docking. What Walmart will do is they save money with the just-in-time inventory management, where Walmart trucks will meet their suppliers' trucks at a Walmart warehouse or distribution center, and basically they unload the supplies from the supplier's truck right onto Walmart's truck, and then it goes straight to the stores. So therefore, there's not as much inventory sitting in a warehouse, which is expensive to maintain. So again, it's another savings that is transferred to the consumer. It also speaks to their operational efficiency and excellence, if I may say so myself. All right, you want to go to the next one? Thank you. Sorry. So for the sustainability index, but I'm trying to update my screen too. They Walmart goes pretty hard on ESG, or sorry, y'all just got me nervous. I forgot what that stood for. Environmental, social, and governance. I have 3 that are on this slide, but there's actually 4 things that really go into that. I'm sorry. And that is, one second. Opportunity, sustainability, community, and ethics and integrity. Walmart is, in my opinion, I feel like Walmart and not just are feeling the social pressures of having a sustainable company. And so they are putting that demand on their suppliers as well, and companies that they do business with, that they want to know where they source their supplies. And they also have, sorry, one second. They expect their suppliers to operate ethically, pay fairly, provide safe work environments. They have standards for their suppliers. They use a risk-based approach to monitor compliance with their standards. And part of the standards are transparency in the supply chain. Also, Walmart focuses on their employees, on their associates. They believe that entry-level jobs are good for the community. And they think it helps sustain local economies. They believe in investing in their associates and provide better wages and career paths for them. They also, for some of their mid-level jobs, they don't focus so much on degrees, but more on work experience and skills. And it actually helps them save money by hiring that way, and then they invest back into that associate. Sorry, one second. And then as far as climate is concerned, they have science-based targets for emissions reduction in their global operations and in the supply chain. And they have, well, it's an index, it is an index, but it's part of an annual strategy that is reviewed by Walmart executives. And they periodically conduct a scenario-based climate risk assessment aiming to align with certain scenario guidance. And the scenarios could be like catastrophic events, flooding, and things such as that. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the blockchain technology. I found this to be incredibly interesting. There's actually 2 different pilot programs. They did one in Canada. Well, the Walmart executives in Canada chose to use blockchain technology to solve a problem that they had, which was shipping, products across different time zones. You have to have your trucks weighed, all these different variables and invoicing, and not everyone was in the same system. So they spent a lot of money invoicing, basically. And so with blockchain technology, they were able to streamline the process, not only for themselves, but for the suppliers that they were working with. They also did a pilot program in China with pork, and in the Americas with mangoes, so that they could give transparency in the supply chain of food. So if there was an issue where maybe one of their farmers had spoilage and it could make people sick, right? You could have foodborne diseases. They are able to pinpoint it, and well, for one, it's going to keep people safer and healthier, and then they're able to pinpoint which exact shipment it is, so that they don't have to destroy all the products, and therefore that saves money for the farmers as well as Walmart and of course the customers. So as you can see, it helps identify safe food and prevent entire shipments of food being destroyed. And they had a lot of success with the mango one. They were able to cut down what was a 7-day process of figuring out where the mango started and then when they got there, and they were able to eliminate it all the way down to 2.2 seconds. So blockchain technology is pretty amazing. All right. Okay, omnichannel retailing. Brick and mortar stores are hubs for e-commerce. This is really going to help with the competition from Amazon, because what you can do with things such as Walmart Plus subscription. You can buy online, pick up in store, or if it's available at the local store, they can ship it to you. So it really cuts down on shipping times. Again, they have a scan and go. So if you're in the store, you can scan your items while you're in there shopping for them and pay when you know, as you're done and leaving, so you don't have to waste time in a long line. So that was pretty impressive as well. Thank you. Their brick and mortar presence. This kind of ties back in with the omnichannel retailing as far as the buy online, pick up in store, or buy online, have it delivered to you. You know, Walmart's known for its super centers, their discount stores, neighborhood markets, etc. During COVID, they extended their store hours and pharmacy hours. Their local stores became distribution hubs, and they technically still are as far as the e-commerce is concerned. And another cool thing that I would just like to point out, that during COVID, a lot of, I think there was like 160 stores turned their parking lots into drive-in movie theaters, which I think is a really cool commitment to community. And well, yeah, it's a good commitment to community. It shows that you care, and it gave people a space to enjoy themselves, but also keep that safe distance.
Okay.
Oh, was that okay?
We are going to try an innovative method. Let me know if you can
So
hear it.
for Walmart strategic steps, we have 5 listed here. And start off, we have better online shopping. So for this one, Walmart is working on its online shopping. This is supposed to make it easier for everyone to use. They really want their website and app to be a place where finding and buying what you need is pretty much straightforward. Next would be a happy shopper. So Walmart is all about making sure customers leave their store with a smile. So they're putting a lot of effort into making shopping more enjoyable and really problem-free. And then next we have the quick checkouts. Nobody in store likes to wait. So that's why Walmart is trying to bring new technology to make getting through the checkout as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So this comes into play. Walmart Plus, they have a feature there, kind of like they do in Sam's Club. That is the scan and go, where you just literally, it's in the title, scan and leave. So that's what they're trying to do there. The next would be new partnerships. So Walmart knows that 2 heads are basically better than 1. So they're looking for smart partners that can help bring more to the table, from products to better ways of doing things. And then we have growing smartly. So Walmart's growth is all about being smart, where they open new stores. They want to be where customers need them and understand what locals want and need. Because not everything is just one thing fits all. So with these strategic steps, Walmart is just making sure it's a place where shopping is easy and it's pleasant, and it's about giving the customers what they want and then where they want it.
So moving on to goals and objectives, looking at the strategy of online shopping made easier. The goal that we've got is improve an online presence. Objective 1 is a 10% increase in website traffic by the end of the fiscal year. We plan to accomplish this by increasing TV advertising for the website. Start shifting the advertising budget around to make sure that our website is known and out there. Objective 2 is a 10% increase in total website revenue by the end of the fiscal year, and the online general manager is to submit a website improvement plan if you look at Amazon's website, people for fun will sit down and go through Amazon's website. I've never heard of anybody doing that with the Walmart website. So how do you create that same atmosphere, that organic movement through the website, so that you're just essentially shopping and not just placing the absolute what you need into the cart. Next slide, please. Speedy and smart checkout. Our goal is to increase awareness of self-checkout and checkout with me program. So Walmart has a program that employees will be in stores in high demand areas and can check out the cart there, scan a card, and then the person can walk out with the items. It's not something that I knew about prior to reviewing this. So objective one is a 10% increase in that program by the end of the fiscal years, and the store managers are responsible for placing these checkout with me employees in the high demand areas at high demand times. I mean, I don't think you need somebody, in certain areas at 2 o'clock in the morning, but definitely at the 6 p.m., 5 p.m. time where people are getting off of work, going to the store, trying to get home. This would definitely help in expediting that. Objective two, 25% increase in self-checkout. The idea that we had, the strategy was play popular music in those areas. The demographic that we'd be attracting is younger people. We're aware that the older, the 80-year-old may want to go to have somebody check their items out, where younger people, may want to check their self out, and this would kind of help separate those things and reduce the amount of headcount that we would have to have in the store locations. Next slide, please. The strategy for collaboration for growth. Our goal is grow promotion of third-party seller network. And as we talked about earlier, I think that's really the strength of Amazon is their third-party seller network. So, the one objective that we had is to advertise the high-selling third-party seller items in store. If Walmart's making a lot of revenue off of a certain item, let's advertise it. It may not be a Walmart direct item, but we're selling it through Walmart, and Walmart's making money off of it. The selected seller is to provide signage at the start of each month for the store. Objective two is to work with third-party sellers to create exclusive Walmart items. I've seen this before in Target, where I remember when the Stanley Cups were released, specific colors were released at Target. It doesn't have to be a completely unique product, but in a unique way that is a Walmart only for the top three sellers that are top three revenue third-party sellers are required to submit at least one exclusive product per year. Okay, next slide, please. Strategic focus for thoughtful expansion. And the goal is to become a community member. The view of Walmart is that they collapse local businesses when they come in. So showing that Walmart does care, the first objective that we had was each location store manager to sponsor a local event each quarter. That can be concerts at nighttime to Little League games, something to get them involved with the community and show Walmart's presence there and that they do care about the community. The second objective was that each store HR manager would donate Walmart branded items to local schools each year at the start of the school year, so the kids grow up with this brand present with them and becomes part of their life as well.
Sorry, I think that's me. Moving forward. So to address the better online shopping, Walmart can revamp digital platforms for a more customer-centric, for better ease of navigation, promote user-centric design, personalization, and of course, commit to continuously improve that. They can do that by conducting user testing and gathering feedback to identify pain points for areas of improvement, and basically just invest in responsive design to optimize the online shopping experience. They can prioritize outstanding customer experiences, invest in employee training, embed continuous feedback circuits, and create emotional connections with the customers. It sounds like that's ultimately what they're trying to do. I mean, again, I throw it back to during COVID and doing the drive-through theater thing with their parking lots. I think that's pretty cool. And I do know that they are they have a program, I think it's called Management Academy, where they're supposed to train the managers, and then the managers go back to the stores and retrain the associates to trickle down in that fashion. Efficiency enhancing technologies, self-service options, contactless payments, e-pay. Johnny, you were even kind of touching on that too, with the new layout that they have with their checkout. And then of course, with the Walmart Plus app, you know, with the scan and go. So it does seem that Walmart is committing to that currently as well. And then collaborating with partners to expand offerings, conduct market research continuously, adopt localized approaches, maintain agile mindset to adapt to new markets effectively. I mean, yeah. They could launch pilot programs or things like that to just elaborate on that a little bit, customize product assortments, etc. So, and that's it.
We have some references if anybody wants them. I'm going to switch back so I can actually see y'all.
All right, very good. Any comments at the moment? So one of the things about Walmart, and to get at the core of what Walmart is, you know, there was discussion on, oh gosh, you talked about like on slide 9, their supply chain, and they can purchase in the numbers that they can purchase in, quite simply, because they're the #1 supply chain operation in the world. Everything in Walmart, EDLP, the vendor managed inventory, is based on this one single core competency that is unmatchable. It extends all the way into the Walmart stores themselves, which literally can be considered a ware. Has anybody ever been in the back door of a Walmart?
No,
Okay.
I'm never to do that.
Right. Basically, they carry their inventory on the floor. They don't have it in the back. And that is the nature of the way Walmart is. You talked about their supply chain and their dry shipping. It's more than just that, okay? In 1996, Walmart pledged that they would never have a single truck going across the United States dry. In other words, nothing inside. They thought of it was going to take 7 years. It took 2, all right? And from then on, Walmart's superiority when it comes to supply chain is the reason that they can do all of the other things, quite simply because it's all about supply chain with Walmart, okay? The blockchain idea came from supply chain. They wanted to find a more efficient way to make interconnected transactions. And why? It's just their thing. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, about what makes Walmart really so special. They have their issues like all, oh, by the way, in terms of investment in their employees, Walmart, whether you're part-time or full-time, will pay for your education 100%. So there's like 150,000 employees that are already doing that right now. I do a little research. My brother works at Walmart, so, you know, I know a little bit. But anyway, let me turn it over if anybody else has anything else to say.
I will tell you that by working on this case, I learned a lot. I'm like a Walmart convert. I'm like, I don't care about Amazon anymore. Yeah, there's issues, you know, there's certain the complaint that because they're so big and they can kind of demand what they want, it does put smaller companies in a precarious situation. But I mean, when I look at their commitment to sustainability, I mean, I couldn't even get everything that I needed to on any topic here at Walmart. There's such a plethora of information that to really kind of filter it down for a 30-minute presentation is really not doing it justice.
No.
They're quite an amazing company, and they think about a lot of things. They even just acquired Vizio, I believe it is. It's a television maker. So that's
And-
going to help with their marketing, that they'll be able to basically advertise into everyone's home who has this smart cast TV. So, I mean, it's never ending with Walmart.
Well, and the reason why they invested in Vizio as a corporation,
Mhm.
so they could create their own Walmart channels
Yep.
and their own streaming services,
Yep.
which, if you did not know, they bought Voodoo, they
Yep.
sold it. They owned Moose Jaw, they owned shoes.com. Yeah, the Flipkart, correct. Their smartest thing that they did, they're still not right there with, of course, Amazon, has such a big advantage. But in 2014, Walmart bought Jet.com, and Jet.com was a dynamic search engine that you could put in a particular good, and it would spider crawl across websites, finding the cheapest price for that one particular item. So Walmart bought it in 2015, took the CEO and made him their CIO, and that's kind of where they are right now. They've got a lot of room to make up, but I think two things are in their favor. The omni-channel experience, which I'm a firm believer of. I'm a big person in channels. And I think everything that you're pointing to is another thing that Walmart is attempting to do, is to give power to the consumers to control everything.
Yeah.
Control their ordering, control their shipping. In essence, you become your own, with as few individuals in the way as possible, because it directly connects to your overall personal satisfaction. So they've done a lot wrong, but you can't look at the wrong without stating the right. So,
I will say I have been to a couple of Walmarts in Mexico, and they look the same as the ones here. So
So Walmart's foray into overseas has been very mixed. They were never able to penetrate Europe, and that's kind of a cultural thing.
Yeah.
They have had success in in Asia, most notably China, because they have changed the Walmarts to be acceptable into their particular cultures. They made it there. North and South America, big. Walmart was big there. So not everything translates perfectly. Not everything overseas translates to the United States. Aldi is one of the big successes. It's a right place. In some places it's right, and some it ain't. All right. Very, very good presentations by everyone. I will get this stuff scanned in the next day or two. These are all my notes. Of course, you can't see because everything's blank, but I just want you to see I have pieces of paper in my hand with writing. So I wasn't looking at a TV that's on the other side of me. I'm really working, okay? Well, look, it's been a genuine pleasure. Remember that the finals will be either 6th or 7th, just choose whichever day. And if you need anything else, excellent work by all the groups. And I wish you much luck on the finals. And if you need anything from me, a letter recommendation, I'm your guy. Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you so
Sounds
much, sir.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very
Good
well.
job
Thank
to
you very
everybody.
much.
All right. Everybody have a good night.
you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.